Welcome back to First Edition. Dan Hodges of the Metro Parks District is our guest, and it almost looks like the same pool of water that you were at last time we visited, but it's not. You have something different in store for us.
You're right on, Lynn. So this is not the swamp we were in before. You know, a swamp's a wetland that's covered in trees, and so you're saying, well, Dan, look at this. You've got trees in the middle of a wet place. But this is kind of a unique space. This is called a vernal pool. Vernal meaning spring. This pool fills up with water early in the year, maybe late in autumn. But basically, it's wet in the spring, and then by midsummer, this area is bone dry. So it's kind of a cool place. I've come back to this pool to visit several times, and visiting in the summertime is a totally different experience. Everything looks a lot different right now, full of water.
All right, so if we come back in the summer, we're probably going to see lots of cracks and, as you said, bone dry. So what are we looking for in the summertime?
So in the summer, it's really just the counterpart of spring. Springtime is when the vernal pool really comes to life. And so because this fills up only in spring and dries out by summer, you don't get things like fish. Some of the turtles, they don't live here. Those bigger predatory species don't inhabit a space like this. So this becomes the perfect nursery for really a whole host of life. And let me show you something, Lynn. I got one, and we'll see how well we can see it here. I've got in the water here, if you can see, let's see if we can't get to that. Ooh, I don't know how well we can see it. Go underwater, Lynn, and see if you can see it down there.
Oh, yes. Are we looking at those dots?
Yeah, those are, sorry, I dropped my flashlight. Those are eggs from frogs living in this vernal pool. Those are probably chorus frogs. So here we are early in the season, and this is already starting to come to life. I hope to visit this again, maybe later in the year, Lynn, and we can see some of the more, incredible species that live here. Stuff like fairy shrimp. We have shrimp here in Ohio. Things like salamanders, of all sorts of frogs, and a ton of insects as well. A really, really cool place to be, especially here in the springtime.
All right, we're coming down to our last minute or so, and you've got some things coming up later in March that kind of go along in conjunction with where you're at right now.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have vernal pools in a couple of different parks, and they're not super accessible. They're not like right up against the side of the trail. So a lot of the times you can't really experience this without perhaps a guide. And that's what we're going to try to do on March 14th. Check out our website, jampd.com, for more information. But we're going to go out to Herman Woodlands, and we'll have a little presentation. Maybe I'll get some of these photographs of some of these eggs. And then we'll be able to go out and experience some of the vernal pools out there at Herman. So it'll be a really, really cool experience, kind of late in the evening as things start to get dark and the frogs start calling. So it'll be a really interesting, perhaps unique experience to really kind of enjoy one of the coolest parts of our Allen County woodlands.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dan Hodges of Johnny Appleseed Metro Parks District. Go find your flashlight, dry it off, and hopefully it still works for you. We'll be back with more right after this.